Q&A. Hey guys, steveo here from Movies and TVs on the Ball, and I just saw the original Nutty Professor film from 1963. And the reason why I'm covering this is it's been 30 years since the Eddie Murphy Nutty Professor, and I wanted to kind of take a look at the original Jerry Lewis Nutty Professor, just to kind of compare and contrast to see kind of how different each version of the film is. Because when you look at the Nutty Professor, the first thing I kind of noticed was that he's scrawny, nerdy. He's got really bad teeth. Jerry Lewis plays him great. He reminds me a lot of Professor Frink from The Simpsons, and I think if you know The Simpsons, Professor Frink is a little bit of a kind of a homage to Jerry Lewis's portrayal of the Nutty Professor. In this one, he is a professor who is pretty much he's a chemist professor like he is in the 96 one. He has a crush on a student who is played by I can't remember. I think it's Madrid. Let's see. Stella Purdy, played by Stella Stevens, and she is sort of and she finds him kind of interesting, which is kind of the same sort of aspect, where I think it's a little bit different in the I'm kind of comparing it to the 96 version, where she's more of like another college professor, so it does kind of seem a little bit creepier looking at it now. But I really like I like that this film really deals with he's kind of nerdy, and Jerry Lewis plays him very well. He doesn't really kind of goofball-y in a way, and I like that kind of characteristics. We really see him he does like all these kind of chemicals kind of to transform himself into the suave looking Buddy Love, which is the same character's name in the 96 film. And he is also he plays a more of like a cool Dean Martin kind of Rat Pack kind of feel, but I think that was just for the time. I like how this film, he kind of chases around a student, which seems, looking at it now, kind of creepy, but it's the times, whatever. I like Jerry Lewis playing it as kind of the nerdy guy. I think his suave, sophisticated attitude is very it's sort of been parodied to death now. But this film I think really has a little bit. There's a little bit of differences. There's he goes to the gym and he can barely do a pull up, and he kind of gets harassed by a lot of the jocks, if you will. I like this film. I think it's a really nice family film. You can tell the way Jerry Lewis plays both the actor, or the professor. He can really bring kind of the dweebiness to the professor, and also the suave, which I think, if you looking at the Nutty Professor from the 96 film, which I saw first, he plays it more, Eddie Murphy plays it more of a as if he were a kind of the fat guy kind of thing, which could possibly work. Probably worked for pretty good for that one. I really liked this one. I think I like how the chemicals he, in the he does the chemical stuff, and you kind of see him really kind of transform, and it's kind of that Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde kind of thing. Which, if you think about it, this is sort of a comedic version of Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde. I really like the he still has the same character name as Buddy Love, like I said, and I like how he plays it very much like uh, Dean Martin kind of feel. I got a kind of tense to that. There's, um, I think the comedy works really well. I think the acting is done really well. Um, the relationship, I really like the. I think her name is Stella Purdy, who is sort of the um, kind of love interest, who kind of was sort of the Jada Pinkett Smith's character. I think she plays it really well. She's very, sees him for the charm he is. Stella Purdy was probably best known for uh, the Poseidon Adventure from 1972. This I liked. Uh, you know, I like how this works pretty well. I mean, for the times, it seems a little bit. You kind of look at it, but I really like him as the nerdy professor. I think he kind of works really well and kind of, talks a lot. And I had a lot, which I've guessed a lot of flashbacks to Professor Frink from The Simpsons, and the character works really well in this film. I like the charming kind of Dean Martin kind of feel. So this film works really well as for the original. I can kind of see why Eddie Murphy picked this to do a topic, because I think Jerry Lewis is so comedic gold as sort of both the umph and the suave debonair kind of thing. And there's a really cool scene where, or there's really not cool scene, but there's a really like kind of club scene where he goes to the club the first time as sort of the nerdy kind of the professor, and then he gets kind of picked on by some of his students, which is kind of interesting. But he ends up going to and then when he comes back, he sort of is all charming and kind of puts one up on the bartender that treats him bad, which I kind of feel like, going back to the 96 one, that kind of reminded me a little bit of the Dave Chappelle comedy routine, but I don't think it's as emotional as the Eddie Murphy scene was. But I think it worked really well. I think it's a nice 60s film. I think it works. I can kind of see how Jerry Lewis's comedy works. He can play the nerd. It works really well, and it's a nice film. It's charming. I give it. I look at IMDb. IMDb gave it a 6.6 out of 10, so it's kind of in the middle. Rotten Tomato gave it a 83% on Rotten Tomato, so it's really got a strong feel. On my 1 to 100 scale, I'll give it a solid 85. I'd probably be, I think, between both of them, I'd probably lean towards the Eddie Murphy film just because I grew up on it. But this is a really good, really good film. I think it works really well. I think the Nutty Professor, I think Jerry Lewis I also think that Jerry Lewis makes both Buddy Love and the Professor, he can play it like they're both believable. he's got the glasses, the bad teeth as the professor. He's a little kind of hunchbacky, but then he's suave. He looks a lot like, when he's sort of the suave, he looks like Shooter McGavin, Christopher McDonald, who was actually in another remake, the Absent-Minded Professor Flubber film. So kind of reminds me a little bit of that look. But I really like this film. I think it works really well. I would do a double feature with this and Nutty Professor, Eddie Murphy's Nutty Professor, as like a DVD box set. But Nutty Professor, it's great. It's good. It's a great '60s film. Let me know in the comments below what your thoughts are on the Nutty Professor's Jerry Lewis film, and give me your thoughts on this, and what your thoughts on sort of the '60s. Now, also, do you think that, looking at it too, give me your thoughts on the fact that, does it still hold up, even though cultural appropriation might be a little bit different than what it is now? So let me know what your thoughts are. Nutty Professor, it's a great one. It's a pretty good. I can see why they remade it, and I think it works great. Jerry Lewis, awesome. Rest in peace. As always, I'm Steve, and see you at the movies. Bye.